Good morning. Happy Friday. I am here with your art project this morning. And so for your art today, you're going to need a piece of white paper, a white crayon, and you can either use like a water-based paint, like watercolors, or you can use markers, whatever you have at home. So I'm going to use markers because I think that's probably more likely what you have at home. But if you have some like watercolor or water-based paint, then that is another great option. So here's how we do this week's art project. Okay, so on my white paper, I'm going to draw a wintry scene with my white crayon. Now you might be thinking white on white, it's going to be a little bit hard to see. It is. It will be hard to see while you're drawing, but once you're done drawing and we get to the markers, then you'll really see it come to life. So I'm going to, I can start, whoops, it always happens when I'm using white crayons, and draw a line along the bottom. And I can just kind of see it. I know that it's really tricky for you to see on the screen, but I can just see it. And then I'm going to color in underneath that line with my crayon. And what's actually cool is that when you use crayon, it puts a texture on the paper. So I can actually feel where my line is if I can't see it. So I can look at different angles to kind of see it. I can use my finger to know where that line is, what I need to color up to. So I just started by drawing a little bit on the bottom. And so this is going to kind of be like the ground in my picture. And then maybe I'm going to draw, oops, ripped my paper there a little bit. That's okay. I can tape it up after. All right. So I'm going to go back through. Now, it's better to have too much crayon on there than not enough. So I might go back through a little bit more. All right. Okay, so I can kind of see it if I move my head to a different angle. And then I think I'm going to draw a snowman on here as well. There's 1, 2, 3 circles, and then I can color those in. Kind of get as close to the line as I can. Okay, and now if I wanted to, I could maybe add a little bit to my snowman. I could take different colored crayons. I could add some arms. I could add a hat. I could add a face. So I'm going to do that, and I'll let you work on your picture. And then I also, maybe I'm going to add a few snowflakes. That might be the last bit that I do with my white crayon. Add some snowflakes falling around. And really the choice is up to you, what you would like to put on here, how much you would like to put on here. Maybe you want to do a few snowmen, up to you. All right, I'm going to go finish off my snowman and then I'll be back. Okay, I've added a little bit of detail to my snowman now. You can kind of see he's got a hat, some arms, some buttons, a scarf, and of course his face. So now this is where it gets to be the fun part. So I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to maybe choose a blue of some sort. All right. Maybe I'll use one like this. And then I'm going to color all over my paper. And what you're going to see is where I've colored with crayon it's actually, that marker's not going to stick. It's not going to sink in. And I can take something like a Kleenex and I can just wipe it right off like that. And see, so some places I got really well with the crayon, other places not so much, but it kind of creates a really neat effect. So if you have paint, you could do this with paint. That might be cool. If you don't have paint, you can definitely do it with markers. And you can see that here's some of my snowflakes. And the marker just goes right over them. It doesn't really sink in. Now the tricky thing with using these markers is I still want my background to look like a day, right? So paint is sometimes easier because I can just spread it around and it goes on really thin and nicely. Whereas markers are a little bit trickier to get the nice coverage, but you can still get the same effect with markers and the crayons. Now, what's really neat about this art project is that it kind of ties into some of the science that we're going to be doing next week. So when we get to that science next week, think about this art project that we're doing. Oh, look, I did a pretty good job on my snowman. It's not really, crayon's not really, or the marker's not really sticking to him. Here we go. So you can see there's lots of spots right there where I did a pretty good job with my crayon. Maybe wipe that bit of marker off. There we go. Look at that. So I'm going to keep going. I can keep coloring in on my paper. Don't forget to color in down here so I kind of still get that look, even though I know this is all crayon. I did a pretty good job down here with my crayon. Look at that. Awesome. So this is your art project this week. You can make a nice little winter scene and then either paint it or go over it with crayon or sorry, with marker. It's really fun. Now this is also a fun project. You can do some something along these lines if you're working on your snap words, and you can write your snap words in with white crayon, and then you can go and find them and color, and then as you find them you can read your snap words. So that's also a super fun snap word game. But here's your art project. I can't wait to see you submit it on Class Dojo.